Welcome guys, my name is Jackson and in this video I'm going to teach you how to do procedural dungeons for multiplayer games, labyrinths, maze sort of situation. So here's what it looks like in my game, which is the Bornless. That's what I've built this for, but today's a tutorial. It looks like this. You go into a dungeon, you build these yourself using your own assets, but you've got all these different branching pathways, and these doors here are connecting different tiles to each other in random orders. Okay, so it's very laggy because my computer's a piece of shit, but that's basically how it looks. If I show you what it looks like from the overview, it looks like this. So this one here is just a crappy starting tile I've put in, and the rest of these are generated on a grid, just of stuff that I've made. So memorize how that looks, and now if I flick it again, you get a different layout. I've only got two different tiles in here, just this cross section one and these wider ones. Oh, I've got three actually, three different tiles. Yeah, this is the third one over here. So you could build like heaps of these if you wanted, you know. So that's what we're going to be making. So that was a quick little demo of something that you can build using this, but let me dig into the actual settings so you can get an idea of the capabilities of what we're going to be building here today. So it's contained in a blueprint, which is this guy just here, and down in this public tab we've got all sorts of settings. You've got a size setting, so if that's set to 7, let me show you what that looks like. You can get a big fucking generated labyrinth like that, you know. And I'm only using a couple of tiles. If you had lots of different tiles, you could get incredible diversity in that. Here are your list of levels, so you can see I've only got 3 different levels down there, and each of your levels is contained up in your levels tab up here. So for example, one of them looks like that. You just build them. You build them in the editor, just like that. And that one's not being used, obviously, and this is a treasure one, which is built like that. So you just build them up in there, drop the name in there, and then it generates a grid out of the ones that you've put in. Each level has an associated probability, so if it's selected, this one has a 1, so 100% chance of going through if it's selected. This one has a 100% chance of going through if it's selected. Test 3, I never want that to spawn, so that's 0. So you can weight these, like if I give this one 0.5 and test 2 1, we're going to end up with twice as many test 2s as we will test 1. So yeah, probably you've got different tile size, so you can use bigger or smaller tiles depending on the meshes that you're using. And this is a cool setting here, so a specific info tab. As you might have noticed, when I hit play, we always get this tile here spawning in the corner. That's the entrance tile. Specific coordinates 0, 0, right there on the edge. Now, we also have a tab here for treasure tiles, level name treasure 1, and amount override. I want 3 of those. So there are 3 treasure tiles that are spawned out somewhere in that entire thing. And I've got this get random coordinates, so what that does is it gets them each a random coordinate out there somewhere. Are we going to be able to find it? Probably not. I'm just going to keep going. But yeah, so you can add in like a quota of special tiles that you want to spawn somewhere out in the random generation, and that will manage it for you. We can randomize the seed, so as I showed you, it was random each time at the start because that was set to true. If you set that to false, it'll just use whatever seed you've got there. So if I set that to false now and hit simulate, remember this layout, we've got a big long streak of cross sections there. If I run this again, we get the exact same seed, right? So you can send your seed to your friends and you can reproduce the same seed. It's perfectly reproducible. And we've also got a specified item list. So this works in the same way as the special tiles. What you do is you add an item class, you add an amount that you want to spawn, and a spawn point type. And then when this generates the level, it'll spawn that amount of items distributed across the whole map. So these guys here, these are my item spawn points, which you just hand place into the generator, and then what the blueprint will do is it'll go through, find all those points, and then distribute 42 pickups at random these positions, and you can add as many different items as you want. So I've got 2 different item types in there, 42 of that to be distributed across all of the spawn points. So those are the settings. Now I might just cut that there. Okay, so let's dig in and take a quick look at how this works before I crack into the tutorial. So everything is contained in a blueprint, like I said, the random level generator blueprint. And here's a quick overview of how it works. On begin play, well actually before I dig into that, let me explain this. The way this works is that this random generator thing is running on each client's version of the game. This is a multiplayer system. This works for multiplayer. It works for single player as well, but it's designed to work for multiplayer. And so what it does is it hands the same seed to all the different versions of the game, and then using that seed, each client of the game reproduces the exact same world as everybody else. So all I need to pass to the clients is just the seed. So what happens here at the begin play, we determine if we want to randomize a seed or not. If we want to randomize the seed, then we select a seed. If we don't, we just go ahead and generate levels. And if we select a seed, then when that's replicated to the clients, they go ahead and generate their levels. But I'm not going to go into too much detail, so let's just go through this quick. The first thing that we do when we start to generate the levels is we read all of our specific level information, and we add those level names to a queue of levels to be spawned. So those are the specific ones, the amount of them, like treasure tiles and things like that, whether they need a random location, etc. And that's how that looks. Now after that, what we do is we generate the rest of the grid along the X and Y in a nested for loop, and we check if there's already a tile at those points determined by the specific tiles, like the level start and the treasure and etc. If there's not, then we populate it with a random tile from our list of random tiles with our weighted probabilities, which looks a little bit like that, right? So you can pause these and you can try and do this for yourself if you want, but I will explain this in just a moment. Now once that's done, now every single tile on the grid has a level name to be spawned there. So what we do is we go through each of those coordinates and we create a level instance with a system that looks like that. Set them to block on load if we want them to block on load, or if we want them to stagger. Set the location of them to the proper location and load them in. Now when the last one's loaded in, then we go ahead and we do the item spawning script. So all of this here so far, this is generating on each client of the game. This is just the static meshes. This is the blocking out of the world. So this is all like the catacomb tunnels and the static meshes of the little skeleton dude down there and so on. But if you want gameplay objects to spawn in here, you need to spawn them on the server only and then replicate them to the client. So the way that works is after the last tile is spawned, on the server, we're going to have an event file which is going to spawn items. So what we do is we get all our item spawn points, and then we get our item list, which we defined in the random level generator, so like 42 pickup of this and whatever. We get our item list and then we go through our quota and spawn them all at random item locations. And again, this is all perfectly reproducible using the random stream. Everybody's got the same seed. So you can pass the seed to your friends and they can generate the same map. Now after the items are all spawned, I've got another thing which I'm using to spawn different doors which were between the tiles, so people can use the doors to get from tile to tile. That's optional, you don't need that, but that's how that works. So this is what I'm talking about now is post tutorial. What you're about to see next is me building this right from the start, so enjoy. Alright, let's crack into this and just see how we go. I've got no idea how I'm going to do this, I'm sort of just going to make it up. We've got a bunch of different levels down there. They're up in here in the levels tab. Just floor, floor with block, floor with wall, an entrance, and a treasure tile, which are both going to be specifically placed. Now I have a random level generator blueprint which I've dropped in the scene down there in the persistent level, and that's how we're going to be generating the levels. So let's just fucking send this and see how we go. Custom event which is going to be called client generate non-replicated levels. Okay, so this is going to be the non-replicated thing that's going to be running on every single client, and then let's run that on begin play, which will run on every single version of the game. Now what do we want to do? We want to generate a grid, so for loop, oops, not a for each loop, we want to go for loop. First index can be 0, last index can be size x minus 1, and then we can copy that, paste that there, and then duplicate size x and call you size y, and then control drag onto there. So X and Y. So this is comment X, and this is C for comment Y. I could do this in functions and things, but I'm not going to. Let's just fucking send this and just make it messy. Who really cares? Loop X. Let's put that there because we're going to use that later. And then let's also have a loop Y off of here. Alright. So we don't have spaghetti dragged across the screen. Now we want to go through these and determine tile types. So maybe what we'll do is let's have a list of level names, which can be of type string, and that can be public, and we can get this from a data table later, but for now let's just get it from our blueprint. Level names, and we'll say random. No, we don't want that. We want random with stream, because we want to be able to generate the same thing on each version of the game, so we need a stream, and that can just be called random stream. That's fine. Now on begin play, oh, we could probably just set the seed manually like that, but what we could do later is we could say seed random stream, or set random stream seed, and we could pass a seed from the server or something. But for now, let's just leave that how it is with its seed of 7, and then let's use that to select these. So now, for each of these loops, these are potential level names. Let's have generated level names, and then let's have generated, or let's call it current level coordinates and current level names. This will all make sense in just a moment, just bear with me. Alright, so current level coordinates is going to be an int vector. And so what we're going to do each time, for each iteration of this loop, we're going to add an element to this. And the element that we're going to add is just going to be the current X and the current Y. So loop X and loop Y. So that's whichever coordinates we're up to. That's getting saved into there. And then what we're doing is we're going to do the same thing here and add this to an array as well. And that's going to be the current level names. Alright, so that's going to generate a list of coordinates and a list of level names. And so when that's done, we can go, these don't need to be public down there. We can go through each, let's go through each coordinate and do a for each loop. So for each level coordinate, we're going to use the index and get a copy of the current level names, and then what we're going to do is get streaming, if I can type, what's the fucking package name? Get streaming level. So that shouldn't be a string, that should be a name. I reckon I can change that without destroying the whole project. Let's see. Change variable type. Oh baby! Let's go. Alright, we broke everything. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. Let it burn. Changing the potential level names to name as well instead of string. Okay, so now let's reconnect that to there, reconnect that to there, reconnect that to there. My cat just climbed over my roof and I could hear it like stepping and running. Oh my god. Alright. So now what we've got is, let's use get copy off of this. Put the current level names into here. Should we call it current or should we call it generated? I suppose it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's have a public tab of variables though. So potential level name is public, size X is public, size Y is public, the random stream is public. The rest of these are all internal, so let's or private, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. So let's leave them there, that's fine. Now we're going to get a package name. Oops. What? Get streaming level. Sorry. Get streaming level, and we're going to create an instance. So this is actually spawning the level now. This has actually spawned a new level, as long as it has a unique instance name. So let's append that, and this is where we're going to break this. The instance name can be x times y, just so each of them is unique. That needs to be unique, otherwise they don't spawn, which is very confusing sometimes. So that looks so ugly. Oh my god, can I make that neater? Can I make it neater? That's not much better. I'm not an artist, man. I'm not an artist. So once we've created it, do we need a reference to that? Probably not. I'm just copying this shit that I've done down here. So honestly, let's just drag all this up here. If you don't know how to get these, you can just go set level transform. Like, you just need to drag off that and then type in the name of the node. So let's put that in there. Boop. Oh god, go back. Boop. Boop. So we need to set the level transform, make sure it's loaded and it's visible. Now, for the level transform, let's make a vector down here, and let's also split the rotation, and let's set the rotation down here, which will be in maybe an int times a float for the yaw. Int times float. Now, it probably doesn't need to. Yeah, times 90. And then for the integer, we want a random int in range from stream, because this needs to be reproducible. So let's put the stream into there, between 0 and 3. So that'll give us either 90, 180, 270, or 360 degrees, or 0 degrees. So each tile is going to be rotated randomly. Now we need to set the position as well. So the position is going to be loop x times loop y times a float, which is going to be the tile size. Tile size. And they're all going to be on a square, so we don't need a different tile size for x and y. So let's put them in like that, x and y. Alright, we got a big fucking tangly pile of colourful spaghetti. So what's going on here? Let's take a step back and just think about what the hell we've what we've just done. So this here is determine or select random levels, pretty much. That's what that's doing for the grid. Fill grid with random levels. Select random levels for grid. Okay, and now down here, what this is doing is spawn all levels, or create level instances. Create all level instances. Okay. I mean, that should work, I think. So let's just put the tile size up in the public tab, and I need to check how big my tiles are, because I can't remember. How big do you reckon that is? I think I can check it by going, what, Alt-J? I'm assuming that's a tile across there, like that. Oh my god, my middle mouse button doesn't work. 2000 across, alright. So tile size is going to be 2000, but that can be whatever the hell you want. Now, what do you reckon will happen if I press play? End of the universe. So let's just try and simulate it. So this is running on the server. What has happened? Nothing, and the reason nothing has happened is because we didn't set the size x and y. So let's click class defaults up the top. Loop x can be, I don't know, 6. Loop y can be 6. Sorry, no, we don't want the loop y and loop x. We want public. We want size y, size x, potential level names. That's something we also need to fill out. So let's go test 1, test 2. Can I chuck in some more? Test 3. Test 4. Alright, random stream is fine, 16, whatever. That should be everything. So now if we hit play, we get some weird shit spawning over here. It looks like everything is just spawned in the one spot. I wonder why that is. Very mysterious. Very mysterious indeed. I set the transform rotation correctly, didn't I? Created the level instance. They're all being created. Oh no, the loops have already been run, so they're done. We can't use the loops down there. What we need to do is the current level coordinates. So we need to break this int vector and put the x into there and then the y into there, okay? Because otherwise the loops are going to be at the last index and they're all just going to spawn in the corner. So now, boom, baby, look at that. Look at that, we have our random level. Nice. Now, I might just pause that there. That's a good chapter, I think. Okay, so before I just crack into the next thing, let's just check that all this works on multiplayer. So let's go number of players 3. Play in new editor window. Yeah, we got the server on the right over there. This is my character for our game, the Bornless. Ooh. Loud noises on my end, probably not your end. Can I turn that music back on? Let's turn that back on. Yeah. You probably really can't see shit. It looks a bit disgusting and blurry and whatever, but look, it's working. Have our players got the same map generated? Has the seed worked, in other words? So this guy's looking at a big block wall. Oh, that was a really loud scream. Looks like it, right? Like, looks pretty similar. And what if we grab our other dude? So he got the same map as well. What's he got over here? He's got a nice block wall over there that he's looking at. Yeah, so it looks like the same map's generated on each of the clients, which is cool because they're all in separate games, but they've all generated the same map. So that's points for us right now. We're actually off to a good start, which is surprising. Now, I mean, I might cut that there actually. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Well, let me just reiterate what we're doing. So when we're doing this is happening on each of the clients. So they've all got their own world that's been spawned like this. And then what we need to do after we finish this whole thing is we're going to run a entity generator script on the server only. So imagine this is the server of the game, and they'll get their replicated items. Like maybe one of them will spawn between these pillars or on top of this block right here or some shit like that. And those items are only going to exist on the server, and all the interactions are going to exist on the server. But because they're going to be replicated items, each client will be able to see them and interact with them. Alright, so let's cut that there. Okay, so the next chapter on our little replicated multiplayer random world adventure, TM, is to create a specific level functionality. So at the moment all this here is just spawning random levels. This here is filling in each point on the grid with a random level. What we need to do now is put in some specific content. So we'll do that over here before this, and we'll have a check in here to make sure that it doesn't override what we've done back here. Okay, so to set this up, let's think about it like this. You're a designer and you've got a grid. You know you're generating levels on a grid, and you want to have control about which specific tiles you want to be what. Some handles that you're going to want. Let's create a structure to do these handles. Let's call it specific level info underscore struct. So you want a bunch of little knobs and things that you can turn to, and entries that you can put into this engine to determine how it generates. So the handles that you're going to want are level name. So which level which specific level you want to do something with. You're going to want specific coordinates. So this will be where it's going to spawn. Int vector. You might want a rotation, but maybe not. So let's have a question mark for force rotation. That'll be a boolean. And then what we'll do is, if you do want to force the rotation, let's have forced rotation, and then this will be a rotator. Okay. Now we might also want get random coordinates. That can be a boolean as well, so that can be up there like that, and that can go up here. So level name get random coordinates. If that's set to true, then we won't use the specific coordinates and we'll just get random coordinates. And force rotation, if that's set to true, then we'll force whichever rotation we've got listed here, and if it's set to false, then I suppose it'll just use a random rotation. So let's put some defaults in. Test 1, get random coordinates can be true, and force rotation can be false. Okay, so now you're going to want to put this in to the actor as a public variable. So let's say specific level info array, and it's going to be of that type that we just created. Specific level info struct array type. That is going to be a public variable, so let's drop that into there. Now drag that in, control drag that in. Let's do a for each loop, and for each entry in this, what we're going to do is we're going to break that structure entry thingamabob that we just did. And then what we're going to do is get random coordinates. Let's do a branch. So do we want to get random coordinates? If we don't, then let's just add it straight to this situation we've got going on here. So if I drag all that out like that, I can collapse this to a function and call this add level name to Q. Is that even how you spell Q? God, that's such a funny word, Q. I don't know, I looked at it too long already. Oh my god. Like a line, right? You're in a line. You're in a queue for something. Isn't that funny? I used to be such a good speller, like when I was at school and things, and I just sort of stopped paying attention. Now, I'm still a good speller, but geez, there's just words like that, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? So, add a level name to Q, and then generate all level instances from Q with a capital Q. Reminds me of Q from Star Trek. So this is going to be X coordinate, that's going to be the Y coordinate, and then this is going to be the level name. Alright, so now we can reuse this over here. So we can drop that there, add level name to Q. And if we're not getting random coordinates, sorry, so let's drop that down there. If we're not getting random coordinates, we're just going to break this, plug that into there, and then plug the level name into there, like that. Now, if we are getting random coordinates, this is going to be a little bit trickier, So if we are going to get random coordinates, we're going to need to have a function for getting random coordinates. So how are we going to do that? We're going to get size X, size Y, and we're going to say random int in range from stream, because this needs to be reproducible. So put the stream in there, copy this, and we're doing the same for the Y. Between 0 and max of whatever the size is, okay? Now, let's do this in a function. Get random unoccupied coordinates, because you don't want this to generate the same coordinates twice in a row and have two tiles stacked on top of each other, or one overwriting the other. So get random unoccupied coordinates. This can be a pure function, and let's go into that. What we need to do, if I have an int vector, this is just me testing something out. If I make an int vector, can I check if that is equal to another int vector? I cannot. Okay, so this is going to be then what? Provisional X. This one's going to be provisional Y, which are both local variables, because these are only going to be used in this function, so you just want them to be local variables so they don't cloud up everything else that you're doing in the rest of the blueprint. Oh god, I made that music too loud. So we're going to generate those, and then once we've got those, let's check if... Oh my god, how the fuck am I going to do this? we have our current level coordinates. We're going to need to go for each loop. Oh my god. Why is there not an equals thing for this? Same? Bruh. Bruh. I know that you can do this with a vector. Because, well... Okay, look, I think we can do it. I think we can do it. So we're just checking if there are current coordinates, current level coordinates that are the same as this. I know you can do this with a vector. Maybe I should just change the current level coordinates to use a vector instead. Well, what if we break this? Actually, no, this isn't too bad. Let's just break this and we'll just check. Equal. Is y equal to y and is x equal to x? Are they both equal? Like that. This needs to be... Should that be a function? I'm not so sure. What the flippity fuck am I doing? Let's make this a function. Our coordinates... Well, no. Yeah. No, yeah, this is fine. Our coordinates occupied, question mark. God, this is starting to hurt my brain. Our coordinates occupied. Alright, so this is going to be the x on top. And then this is going to be the y down below. Our coordinates occupied. So what we're doing is we're going through all the current level coordinates and checking, is there a single time where the coordinates in the current level coordinates are equal to the ones that we've submitted there. And if there is a single time where that is the case, just even once, if this returns true, even once, if they're equal, then we're going to say yes, yes occupied. 4. No, yes occupied, true. Now, if that goes through that whole array and it never happens, then yes occupied is false, alright? So now what we can do is left click and B for a branch. Are the coordinates occupied? God, that's such a messy way to do it, but oh well, you gotta do what you gotta do, mate. Now, can I just put that up there? I rearrange my nodes when I need to give my brain a break. Would highly recommend you do it. It's very therapeutic. Oh, I'm out of water. Fuck's sake. I might have to have a break in a minute. Alright. Are these coordinates occupied? If they are occupied, then let's have a reroute node up there and go back through and get some more coordinates, shall we? Like that. Now, if they're not occupied, then we can return node and we can grab this provisional x and this provisional y and we can drop them into there, like that. Now that function should be done. That function should be done. So now, if we want to get random coordinates, let's actually delete. Let's delete that. Put this up here. That level name is going in regardless, but this here is optional. So this is going to be a select node. That's going to go into there. And then the index is going to be get random coordinates like this. Now, if get random coordinates is true, then we're going to make an int vector down here and get random coordinates. Get random unoccupied coordinates. If get random coordinates is false, then we're going to use the specific coordinates from the specific level struct. Okay? So that's how that looks. Makes sense? Probably not. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know, man. But it'll work. If it works, it works. I mean, you should probably understand what you're doing, but if you don't, you shouldn't feel bad about that either, because it'll come with time. It all comes with time, man. I am getting tired. Holy shit. Okay, so this is setting up all the specific level info. I don't think we're going to use that rotation thing. We might use that later, but let's not set that up just yet. So this here is going to be add specific levels to Q. And I might even make that a function? Oh no, let's not. Let's not. Let's just go from that completed node from the for each loop for the specific level info, and then select random levels for the grid. Now, we don't want to re-add levels to the queue if they've already been added over here. So, when we've got our loop X and our loop Y, let's use that function that we created before actually. Our coordinates occupied. See, this is helpful. This is good that we made this. This is going to be helpful. Are these coordinates occupied? If they are occupied, that means we've already set up a level back over here in specific levels for Q. So if it's true, then do nothing. If it's not occupied, then that's when we put in a random level. This is actually easier than I thought. So should we put in a specific level then? Let's put in a specific level. So let's add a couple. The first one, God, that looks hectic with all those different drop downs. Let's add an entrance, which is this one here, just this crazy looking dirt tile, and let's add a treasure. So expand all, what was it called? Entrance 1. The name needs to be exact. Entrance 1, and the other one was called treasure 1. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Oh god, where'd it go? Specific level info, expand all, F7 to compile, expand all again because compiling closes the drop down for some reason. For the entrance, let's put that at 0, 0. So get random coordinates is set to false, and it's going to be at 0, 0. Let's not worry about the force rotation. The treasure, let's use the get random coordinates for the treasure. And you know what? Actually, let's put a couple of the... Ooh, should we put a number variable in there? So you can have an amount of them. I wonder if we could do that. Let's just test this first, and then I'll do that. Alright, so that's spawned at 0, 0. That's the starting tile. And then we've got a random one over there. And now if I do it again, the random one will be in the exact same spot because we're using the same seed, right? So look, we're getting the exact same map every single time we generate. Now, if we change the seed, down here, random stream, crank that up to 190. Oh my god, did we just get the exact same... What? What on earth? Was that a coincidence? No. Okay. That means that this initial seed actually doesn't do shit. Okay, so that's actually a good point to mark. Should I pause this and put a... No, alright, let's just explain it. That initial seed doesn't do shit all. So let's seed random stream, right this at the top, and then set a new seed down here, and this is going to be called seed. Now, random stream then is no longer a public variable because that actually doesn't work. I think we need to use this seed here. That's funny. I think I knew that already, but I forgot that that was the case. So now let's put that at like 3 or something. Alright, now we're talking. So now we've got our treasure tile there, and we've got a different generation. And if we run it again, same, run it again, it's the same. Okay. Now, if I crank that seed to something different, now you can see we get a different generation. Why the fuck did you spawn out there? Is that off the map? What? Okay, so that means we've made a mistake. It must have been in get random unoccupied coordinates. Get random integer in name from stream. Yeah, okay, so when we were doing the loops, they're running from 0 to size -1. So when we get these random unoccupied coordinates, this just got an unoccupied coordinate at one value off the grid. So what we actually need to do is go minus integer and just put that in like that. Easy fix. I wonder if this will dramatically change the generation or if it'll just put it slightly in, just nudge it in. Let's see. It just nudged it in, see that? Because it used to be there, now it's in there. Isn't that fascinating? Okay, one more time. One more time. 60. Yeah, there we go. And let's just check that it's working on all the clients as well. So if we jump in, Alright, we got floor here. This is the starting tile. Excellent, excellent. Now we're alright, and you can see over there. God, I wish this dude would move faster. That's the treasure tile. So now if I jump in with old mate, you can see that they're looking the same. Worlds are looking the same. If I run in front of my mate here, yeah, and we're both looking at this big block up here, and then I shoot my bud, and then teabag him a little bit. Yeah, alright, I'm gonna take a pause. Okay, so just a couple more quick little things that would just be cool. I've rearranged this a little bit. I just moved all my shit from the side over there down like this. To add an amount into this specific level information thing, so say you want, like, I don't know, 16 treasure tiles to spawn or some shit like that. Let's just have an amount. So we could just have a new integer variable called amount, and then that could be up there, and that could just be -1. Let's call it amount override, because otherwise it'll just be 1. But in the case of treasure tiles, I want to have like 6, and I want them to all have random coordinates. So instead of entering a new entry every single time with the exact same information, I could just change a number there. So the way that you would integrate that is add specific levels to queue in this part of the function, in this part of the graph. But if this level override is not equal to -1, if it's not equal to -1, then we're going to do a special thing. If it is equal to -1, just go ahead and carry on like normal. If it's not equal to -1, then we're going to use a for loop, not a for each loop, a for loop. A for loop from index 1 through to the amount override. You know what, I reckon there's a better way to do this. Let's always use the for loop from 1 to the last index, but this here will be a select integer, and if the amount override is equal or not equal, if it's not equal to -1, then pick A, we're going to use that. Now if it is equal to -1, so this returns false, then it's going to be B, which means we're going to just go 1. So if we're not using the amount override, this is such a head fuck. If we're not using the amount override, then this is just going to file once. Okay? I'm aware that that's super fucked up, but I feel like that's going to work. So let's test it. So if I go into my specific level info and expand this, and for the treasure, let's just put 6 in for treasure. Fingers crossed. It actually worked. What the fuck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if I play it again, same results. Excellent. And I mean, I might as well change the seed just to check that. I mean, of course it works. I don't have to fucking check it, but here I am checking. Oh, they're in the same spot. That's because I changed the wrong one. So this is me reiterating the point. The random stream, changing the random stream does absolutely nothing. You need to change the seed. Which is the integer we set up earlier in the video. There we go. Yeah, that's 6. And they're not overlapping. It's always 6, which is good. We're not getting 2 in the same spot. Now, one other thing that I wanted to add in was, what was it? Oh yeah, weighted probabilities for each of the levels. So here we have a potential level names list, which is being used over here for the random levels. Let's put potential random level names, because these are the ones that are filling in the grid. Now, say you want some of these to be rarer than others. We need to add in a bit of logic to weight the probabilities of each. So potential random level probabilities is going to be a new variable, and that's going to be of type float. and by default, well, actually it doesn't really matter, let's just put it like that. By default, let's make them like, I don't know, 0.8, have one that's really low, one of them can just be 1, and one of them can be like 0.5 or some shit, I don't know. But this one, the really low one, that's going to be test 2. So let's just have a look at test 2 really quick. So when we spawn, we're not going to get much of this one with the block, okay? Now the way that we actually set this up to be used is we're going to need to create a new function down here, which is going to be called select random level name from weighted probabilities. Writing a fucking essay for my function names here. Level name, or selected level name. Okie dokie, let's crack that open. So what we're going to do is we're going to promote this to a local variable. Temp name, temporary name, that's not capitalized how I wanted it to be, but that's fine. Temp name, ooh. Is this going to work? Because this is a pure function. Is this going to, every time I call this, I'm just concerned because if I call this once for this and then have another one where I get the temp out index, temp index, I'm worried that that's going to, I think this calls it a second time, so it might just get a different index entirely. Maybe what I can do, hang on. Maybe what I can do is I can collapse this to a function, which could be called select level, select random level. I don't even know if this is actually necessary, but I've had some problems with using pure functions like this before. So maybe this is just going to be select random level. And I mean, if there's a plug directly into there like that, I mean, that should be fine. That's not going to call this twice. It's only using this once, right? So then this is happening once. Select random level, we get an out item, which is going to be temp name, and then we're going to get temp index. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get these. We're going to get a copy. And the copy that we're going to be getting is the temp index. So this is the probability. And then we're going to check if a random float in range from stream, because we want this to be reproducible. Random float in range from stream, oops, no, sorry, that's the wrong one. Random float from stream, yeah. Random float from stream is between 0 and 1. So if the value generated between 0 and 1 is less than or equal to the probability of this particular level as set in here, if it's less, then go ahead and use that level name, which is the temp level name, okay? If it's false, in other words, that probability fails, then we try again. We get another one. Fingers crossed this works. I think this is how we want it. So inside of that, we've got this. We needed to have this inside of here so that these are both being called at once, instead of being called once for this and then once for this, because then we'll get a different name for that and a different index for that, which won't correspond to each other. So that's why you need an impure function, because this is only called once and then those values stay there and then you can use them separately like that. But if you have a pure function, it's called once there and then once there, I think. I think. Do you reckon that's everything we need? I think that's everything we need. I'm like talking to myself. What the actual fuck? Select a random level name from weighted probabilities. Alright. So let's see. If this works, this one with the block should spawn less likely than the rest. That looks pretty fucking good. We only got 2 blocks. Alright, so if we were to change the probabilities even lower, 0.001, so that we don't get any blocks, basically. Oh my god, we still got one. Do you reckon that was just chance? Or what if I just make it 0? What if I just make it 0 so that it'll always fail? Wow, so that when 0001 or whatever the fuck it was actually succeeded. What the hell? So look at that, now we've got no blocks on here. We've just got the rest of the tiles. So that's how you do weighted probabilities for your levels. I can't believe how well everything's working. What the actual fuck? Things never go this well. Okay, so the next thing on our random level generator action adventure that wasn't funny is to create item spawning, I suppose. So to do item spawning, we need to do this on the server. So all of this here is happening on the client. All of this is happening on the client. Yep, so then what we might do is when this is done, when all this is done, have a reroute node down there. We want to run an entity gen and an item gen script on the server. So all of this here is going to be generate non-replicated map on each client. Right? Now at the very bottom of that, let's have a custom event, which will be server item generation, or yeah, server spawn replicated items. Okay, and then that's gonna fire only on the server. So this whole level generation thing is firing on all the clients and the server. If this is the server version, then let's do the spawn replicated items, okay? Which means we don't actually need to call on RPC because it's only going to be happening on the server one anyway. So when we're spawning replicated items, let's think about how we're going to do this. We want to have specific points on these tiles where we hide the items. So let's go ahead and make one of those. Let's have a new blueprint class and call this random level gen item BP. Now let's give him a billboard so we can see him. Just put him up maybe like 100 or something, just so we can see. Do we have any cool item looking billboards in here? Oh my god, what the fuck was that face? That was terrifying. Come on, give me something. Give me something. Glass, vial, health, incense. No, I got nothing, bruv. Alright. Can we just use... Can we use that? No? 5 pixel colors isn't going to work. Maybe we should just use the dinosaur. Or we could use this. Alright, I'm using this. That's my item generation thing. So let's drop a couple of those in. You got to double click your sub level to actually drop it on the sub level. So put one there. Actually this tile isn't spawning, is it? Because we played around with the probabilities. Let's put some on this one here. Make sure you double click the sub level so you don't put them in the persistent level. We'll put items there. We'll put items there, maybe. These are potential places, by the way. So, oops. Did I double click the... I don't know what just happened. Look, just spawn, bruv. Just drop. Alright, so we've got a few potential item places. Maybe I should put one on test 1 as well. No, let's not. Alright, so for our spawning replicated items, let's have a list of items. So just like we did with the specific level info, let's have an item list info. Item list info underscore structure. So it's going to be what? Item class, I suppose, will be the first thing. So that'll be actor class reference. So that's the class of item that we're going to be spawning. Maybe we could have an amount that we're going to be spawning as well. And let's have perhaps like a spawn point type as well. Spawn point type, which can just be an integer, which we might play with later. Now, for the actual items, I've already set some up. Like I've got these incense items, which I'm just going to be spawning, but you can just use whatever you want. It's just a stick, and it has a light and a particle system, and it just rotates, and they pick up on overlap. So I'm just going to chuck those in, but you can use whatever you want. Incense, yeah. Now, that's the default. The amount can just be, I don't know, like 6 or something. And I might just make it red so I can see it standing out against the... Do I have a red material? Probably not. Alright, never mind, I won't worry about that. I won't waste everybody's time. So when we go to spawn the replicated items, we're going to need a replicated item list. So I'm just going to duplicate my seed and just call this specified item list, and that's going to be of type whatever the hell we just called it, item list info struct, and it's going to be an array. Alright, compile. Yeah, that can be a public variable because that's going to be editable by anyone who wants to edit it. Let's add some items. Incense. What other fucking items have I got? I think I've got like an ammo one, and maybe that'll do. Let's just roll with that. So 6 of those, that's fine. So when we go to spawn the replicated items, let's drag in our item list, do a for each loop. We're doing the same thing that we did earlier, pretty much. So let's, oh, not really, it's actually quite different. For each one, we're going to break. We're going to do a spawn actor from class. And the spawn transform, actually before we do that, what we need to do is we need to set up an amount here. So this is where we have the for loop, just like we did with the amounts of specific levels we did earlier. So this is sort of similar. Last index is the amount, first index is 1, because it's not 0 based. Now if we plug that into there, that's going to repeat for whatever the amount is that we've set there. Now for the transform, we're going to need to get the transform of our spawn points. So once all the levels are spawned in, which actually brings me to an important point, which I'll explain in just a moment. What we're going to do is we're going to say get all actors of class, and this is going to be spawn, what was it called? Item, random item. Yeah. So let's rename that actually. Random item gen. So this is called random level gen item spawn point BP. Blah 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 blah. SAs as blueprint names. Now, once we've got all of those, that's every single one of them. Let's save that to a variable which is just going to be called item spawn points. Okay. And then we plug that into the for each loop. So now that we've got all those item spawn points, what we can do is we can just grab this and we can say, just like we did before, random, get random array item from stream, because we want it to be reproducible, and put the random stream into there. And now once we've got that, we can get actor transform, and we can plug that into the spawn point just there. Do we need to save the item list? Probably not. And by the way, this whole thing here, you could run this periodically if you wanted. Like you could save all of these and then destroy them after time t and then rerun this again and spawn different items. I think that'll work. So at the moment, it's going to spawn 6 of those, 6 of those. Okay. Let's just simulate it, shall we? Where are the items? They didn't spawn, and I think I know why. Are we going to get errors? We did. Okay, so this is a very important point. It failed on every single one, and the reason why it failed is because this returned nothing because the item spawn points were empty. Why were the item spawn points empty, you might ask? Well, very, very mysterious phenomenon, which actually can be very mysterious. Like, I'm not even kidding. It can fucking hurt your head if you don't know what to look for. What happens is when you create these instances and you set should be loaded and should be visible, these actually take a little bit of time to load in and be visible. And so what happens is, because this is being called instantly, It's tried to get all of these, but it hasn't found any because they don't actually exist yet, because none of these have actually been spawned in. So what you need to do, well, you could put a delay, or you could do like a bind event to level shown or something, which actually is not a bad idea. Maybe we could do that. Oh, let's try this other way first, because this is simpler. Set should block on load is the one that you want, and we might even run that first before we try to load anything. So set should block on load. So if that's set to false, let me just show you the difference. Watch how they stagger in. See that? Some of them spawn before the others. Oh my god, we're gonna get this fucking error every single time. Let me just disconnect that. They stagger in. Alright, they're all spawning in what seems like a random order. If we set block on load to true, should block on load to true, compile, save, boom, see that? Instant. Because what happens is the game stops while it loads, and it doesn't go on and do the next logic until that level is loaded. So if that's set to true, theoretically, if we run this now, it should have some actors to actually get. Oh no, we're still shit out of luck. I think we're still shit out of luck. Yeah, alright, that's a bummer. So what I might do then is let's have block on load as a variable. And just drop that up there. What we're going to need to do for the last index, is the index here equal to, so the index of this, is it equal to the last index of this? I'm fucking going to try to pull some wizardry here. I've got no idea if this is going to work, and this could ruin this whole video for all I know. Not ruin it for you, but ruin it for me, because I need to edit things. And well, if we're up to the last one, then what we're going to do is let's bind event on level shown, perhaps. Bind event on level shown. So when the very last level is shown, then we're going to go ahead and do the replicated things. So can I create event level, what is it? Item server spawn replicated items. Yeah, okay. Oh god, do you reckon that'll work? I get scared whenever I use these event dispatcher things because I don't actually understand how they work all that well. If last level start spawning items. Okay, so now we don't actually need that. But what we do need actually is we need that switch has authority down here now, because we don't want this to be called on the clients. Or actually, even what we could do is put it here even. So if this isn't the server version of the game, then don't even worry about this check. If it's a server version of the game, go ahead. Alright, let's see if that works. Fingers crossed. Oh, I see some items. Yeah, alright. That's actually looks like it works. What the fuck? Look at that. They spawned in their spawn points. Now, one problem that we had is because we had a couple of blocks on test 2, or we had an item spawn point on test 2, which isn't actually spawning, so let me just change that setting in the level probabilities to just make them a little bit less likely, perhaps. But yeah, we got rid of the errors, so the item spawning script is working, right? Yeah, cool. So where are they? Yeah, there you go, look. Down in our item spawn points. And there's not one at every single item spawn point. It's only doing the quota of items that you've assigned it, so however many you've set for it. Yeah, cool. So that's how you do item spawning. And important to point out, actually, because this is running only on the server, these will only be on the server instance of the game unless your item, if I go to my instance BP, your item needs to be set to replicates down there and net load on client. The actor will be loaded onto network clients during map load. Okay, so when this thing is spawned in, it'll load on the client version of the game, I think. I think that's how it works, I don't know. But as long as that's true and that's true, then these will be replicated. And if you spawn them on the server, they will appear on the client. And then you can do all your functionality just on the server of the game. This blue thing here is just everything that occurs only on the server. When an overlap event occurs, it runs only on the server. Now, if I jump in and have a look, I might just spawn some items on my starting tile real quick. Oh, if I can. Let's item spawn point. Oops. Let's drop a couple down here, shall we? Why are my spawn points all whack for? They're looking a bit funny. I think it's because my snapping's a bit silly. So nothing on that one. Let's get rid of this one and this one, just so we can make sure we actually get some at the start. Alright, so now jump in. Here's our start. My game's a little bit laggy, but you can see we've got these items here. Right, what was that interact for? I wonder why that's there. And you can see on the client over here on the left, you can see those same items are there, and if I walk over it, you can see that they disappear on the clients and the server. Now if you recall the start of the video, we had this problem where the items were spawned on the clients as well, and if you overlapped them, they wouldn't disappear from the client. So we've resolved that now. Now these ones here, yep, all Gucci, and I can kill my friends by shooting him in the balls and shooting him in the head. Fucking video games, man, they're so violent. Oh shit, what am I making? Alright, I'm gonna take a break. I think that's just about it, guys. One other thing that I will say is that this whole item thing that we did at the bottom, where we're getting the spawn points and then spawning a list of item classes, is that you could use this for AI as well. You could use it for any actor class you want. So if you go up into your item list info struct, this doesn't actually have to be item class up the top. That could just be class, and you could put AI classes in there as well, an amount of how many AIs you want to use, and the spawn point types as well, and then they can just spawn using the same script here after all the levels. And we didn't end up setting the spawn point types, but if you wanted to have different items using different spawn points, or you perhaps want AI for one spawn point and your items for another spawn point, all you'd have to do is just check when you go to get the spawn transform, is the spawn point type selected here, which you'd probably set inside of, maybe I should just show you how to do that really quick. This can be spawn point group index, right? So this is inside the spawn point blueprint. That needs to be a public variable. By default it's 0, right? Now when you drop these in the world, you can set it. You can say which spawn point type is this. You can use an enumerator for this as well, but you can just use an index. And then what you do is when you select a spawn point, you can say get spawn point group index, because these are of array of random level gen item spawn point BP object references. So you've got access to this. You can just say, is this equal to the required spawn point type? Right? I'm not going to do that because I can't be bothered. But if it's equal, then you can go ahead and use that spawn point to spawn that actor. If it's not, then you go back and select another one, just like we did with we did it earlier with something with this thing, the unoccupied coordinates. You get the thing, you check if it's a valid one. If it's not, go back and just do it again. So you could have different spawn points for AI, different spawn points for items, etc. The important thing is that all this stuff up here is not replicated. So this is all just happening on each individual version of the machine. So this is an inanimate map that's spawned on each machine of the game and isn't connected between the client and the server. All this stuff down here, this is for everything that you want to be interactable on the client's version of the game and consistent with the server. So things like items. So you spawn them only on the server. And then they're replicated to the clients because they've got the replicated box ticked down there. I think I explained that before. I hope I explained that before. So anything that you want to be interactable, you've got to spawn after doing the level, and you've got to do it on the server and then have it replicated to the client. So I think that's everything. If you've got questions, drop them in the description. This game is called The Bornless, which is my current project. I'll probably put a link to that. I have some shit on the marketplace. I've got random generator. Oh god, I don't want to fucking promote shit. Goddamn. Oh, but I gotta promote shit because otherwise no one fucking hears about it. So I've got some shit on the marketplace. I've got an infinite random level generator, which is like this, but just pimped out as fuck. So it's not generated on just a finite grid. It goes on forever and ever and ever, like Minecraft. So you can do what I've done here with these tiles, build your own tiles, and then run through a world forever while it just continues to generate the tiles. So check that out if you're interested in that. I've got a flying AI package as well. It's super easy to use. You can set it up in a couple of minutes. You can set up the random level gen in a couple of minutes as well. Super easy. You just drop it in your project, tweak a couple of settings, just like this stuff that I've shown you here. You just tweak a couple of these and your game's good to go. So random level generator, flying AI. I've got a wave-based, multiplayer enemy wave-based thing as well, which is sort of not as good as the other two, but it's up there if you want to support me. I'd appreciate that. But I'm going to leave this video there. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.